A very good afternoon, everyone. Hope some of you had your lunch already. And yes, thank you so much for joining my first ever industry sharing session, right? So sorry, I'm a little bit tad bit of nervousness but at the same time, I am so excited to share, right, my research. All right, so we are looking at today, which is the gamers' perceptions on local culture in games. Now, just one thing to know before I go on further. As I was preparing this presentation, I didn't realize how difficult it was to translate from academic research into terms that a general audience that can easily understand. So nonetheless, I will do my very best, all right, to explain the best as I can. Now, in case we run out of time, all right, because don't worry, this is just only about 30 minutes, all right? So in case we run out of time for Q&A, feel free to catch me later after the session. Yeah, I'll be around whole day. Okay, so, all right, a little bit about myself. I have been lecturing over 12 years, yeah, so including nearly 10 years in the game development program. So I mainly lecture, as you can see, I mainly lecture on HCI is a short form for human-computer interactions. All right, I also teach game UI UX, 2D art, design, and the creative studies. All right, so beyond lecturing, as you can see, I also do a lot of collaborations, right, with industries as well as alumni, right? I keep connect with them. So I also organize studio visits. I also organize showcases, portfolio reviews, industry talks, and workshops, and so on. So meanwhile, besides just lecturing and all this, I also actually do also mentor for student game projects, as you can check them out, right, at the booth at the other end, as well as also mentoring in their thesis. So. And I'm also a researcher specializing in game user research. So what is this game user research about? So game user research is actually a studies on how, so basically I study how players engage with and interact and experience in games. So that is my main study, all right? And of course, same as Miss Sophie, I'm also one of the council member of our crowd. Yes, thank you so much. All right, cool. Okay, now, oh, so sorry, go back a bit. Oops. Okay, something I'm not still uncomfortable, but this is actually my official title. All right, just please call me Ying or Miss Ying, please. Anyone who has actually pretty much go through all these PhDs, you know there is some form of PTSDs going on, especially if you spend so many years. Once done, you're like, whew, I'm done. All right, so anyways, this presentation, okay, and before I continue, I want to mention that this presentation, okay, is not something I pick up from thin air. It's actually from my thesis, all right, for my doctorate. It's one small part of it. Yes, this is the title of this. So yes, indeed, it is indeed a super rare. It's actually kind of rare, even while I was doing it, to encounter theses that focus about indie games, right? Because it is very, very niche in the academic landscape. And I kid you not, I'm going to emphasize this again, it wasn't an easy journey when I decided to choose this topic, all right? It took way longer than planned, so because due the limited of information, right? Out there, trust me, if you go and research on indie games in like Google Scholar, it's not enough. I can guarantee. You have to go out to the field to actually gather more information, right? So this is what I've been doing for the last 8 years of this, all right? But when I look back at it, it's actually worth it. So how did all this started? All right, it's because of this, okay? So for those who came for Wan Hasmi's talk last year, I'm pretty sure he has shown this, but truly, this is the one. This is the one that really started it. When the Roti Canai appeared in the Final Fantasy game, I tell you, I was ballistic. I was so excited, all right? So as a huge fan of Final Fantasy and someone who actually deeply loves her country, seeing a piece of our Malaysian culture represented in a major global game, it filled me with so much pride. And I cannot thank Hasmi enough for this. Honestly, right, for putting Malaysia in the global gaming stage. So thanks to this, it gave me the courage as well as the inspiration to actually pursue local indie games for my postgraduate studies. Now, after that moment, right, I began to actually see a rise, of local indie games, especially during the COVID period. That is somewhere in 2020 onwards, right? So games today are increasingly, integrating cultural elements into the design as well as storytelling. Some even nominated, for the game awards such as Vemba, and of course our very first Southeast Asia game, A Space for the Unbound. Right, so it's really, really, truly heartwarming, and to see our culture actually introduced to the world through video games. So Southeast Asia and Asia countries in particular has such rich cultural tapestry that I really believe that deserve the spotlight. So, while basking in the excitement, seeing all these culture games, indie games growing, so there is one particular question that really bugged me, all right? What do our locals think about them, right? So, and to my surprise, while talking randomly to people, I actually discovered that while locals are aware, they are aware of our made games, there's surprising very little of them playing them. Seriously, there's so small number actually playing them or even buying them. So this realization led me to this question. How do gamers perceive the inclusion of local cultures in video games? So in my PhD studies, I decided to actually explore this as well. So here's what I did. Sorry, it's a long-winded word. So I conducted actually a short interview with several local gamers, Malaysians, to dig deeper into this topic. So now while the study takes on the global view perspective, the interviews was conducted specifically with Malaysians to gain the deeper local insights. So let's go through it. Now, when I asked participants about their thoughts, on the inclusion of local culture in video games, here is what they shared. I am able to learn more about my country and different states' culture and such. Having any local culture elements in games make it more appealing for me due to its being more relatable. So this is some of the keywords. It's lovely to see a blend of cultures in games and how it affects the story, the characters, and the world building of the game. Let me come here. Local cultures can be interesting if it's presented well, but it has to be properly made to avoid stuffing people with too much information. So while most of local cultures are common knowledge among Malaysia, I think it will be great to expand more since I already know about them. If the information were new, I would definitely be interested. So the last one, which caught me a little bit by surprise, it does improve connections between local players and the game, but it might sour the taste for international audiences. And then, of course, don't use local culture as a selling point. It just makes a game a gimmick. To me, local culture is an add-on, like make a game engaging, make it fun, then sprinkles in local culture. Local culture doesn't make game interesting. If the gameplay and story is nice, then people will take in the local culture. But if it isn't, local culture doesn't matter. All right. And lastly, I don't suggest to have local content because it might lose international market. So as you can see from the comments here, all right, from what they shared, all right. So here is a little bit more on the positive side. All right. So they get to learn because it's relatable, and they get to see how it shapes the game world. In the middle here is a bit of mix, so I had to actually follow up with some of this. So most of their main concern here is over-explaining things. All right, so I already know, but why are you explaining it so much to me? All right, so they want something that is fresh. All right, and some actually think that concern that internationals were not able to relate with this. All right. And then, of course, at the end, you can see there is so much of negativity there, all right? They think it's a gimmick, it's an add-on, uninteresting, all right? And worry is alienating the international market. So all these responses, okay, the next step is to analyze it, and 3 key themes emerge, all right? These 3 things, okay, cultural appreciation, cultural tolerance, and cultural curiosity. So, Appreciation refers to the gamer's positive attitude towards the local culture. All right, and see how it shapes, sorry, and how it explores whether they enjoy the game or not. Here, tolerance, all right, is a little bit less favorable. Yeah, it focuses on how sensitive gamers are to the overuse or you overemphasize, all right? So, and also that's where we examine whether how much cultural content should we put in, okay? So much so that until if it's too much, will they actually lose interest? All right, and cultural curiosity. So ISAN highlights the interest in learning, the openness in learning other cultures. So in a way, you can also consider whether international players are open to discover our local cultures within the game. All right. So from these three things, okay, came from the interview responses. So after that, what I did was I actually crafted a questionnaire. All right. So it's a 5-point questionnaire. Okay. 5-point Likert questionnaire, basically like this: disagree, strongly agree, neutral, agree, and so on. So that is how the questionnaire is. So I managed to get 550 respondents. All right. So in context, in most research, 385 is actually considered represents a larger population. That is the magic number. So this is actually exceeding already the expectations. So, and because video games are played all across ages, groups, genders, nationalities, the survey is actually open, all right, as long as you're age and above. And most importantly, you must be a gamer. If you're not a gamer, you are not eligible to actually answer the survey. All right, now let's take a look of the first questionnaire item. Wait up. Okay. Next page. Sorry, some technical error. Oops, it's not changing. Oh my God. Okay. It's not pushing. So sorry for the technical error, but yeah, it's supposed to change to the next page. Wait, My apologies for the technical error. Hopefully we fix that. Don't have. What's the next page? Okay, all right. Okay, so let's take a look at the first questionnaire. Yes, I've been told to actually share some charts, all right, and tables. All right, so as we can see, so the first one will be, I enjoy having local cultures in games because I can relate to it. All right, so based on this charts and table, all right, as you can see, 14.36% don't enjoy the inclusion of local in games. Okay, so you can see, so it's calculated between 6.36% and 8%. So you calculate that because they disagree. When they ask this question, nope, they disagree. Okay, they don't really actually enjoy it. All right, 29.45% gamers actually are neutral. So they feel indifferent whether is it included or not. So they don't really, it doesn't really matter to them. But the good news here is, all right, the positive here is majority, 56.19% gamers actually appreciate having local culture in games. So from here, this suggests that half the respondents, or actually many, all right, of the gamers find some point of value in cultural representation that feels relatable to them. Now, let's look at the second one. Okay. If local culture is overused in the game, I will eventually lose interest. So from the charts, okay, and table, we can see the following breakdown. All right, 22.35% don't mind if the game focuses heavily. So when I asked this, they disagree. They said, no, I don't mind, right? And Okay, sorry. 36.72. Well, they don't really have a strong opinion. All right, whether it's the amount you put a lot, you put little, it didn't matter to them. But I'm actually quite honestly a bit surprised to see 40.73% actually do really feel overwhelmed, and they can get disengaged if the local culture is overemphasized. All right, so this suggests that while many gamers are either indifferent or unconcerned, all right, so due to the middle one, okay, but there is still a significant number of them, all right, that actually feels that overusing can lead to loss of interest. So something, if you plan to do, please something to take note of. All right, and the last one, cultural curiosity. Now, I enjoy games that teach me about the cultures of different countries. So from the charts and table, we can see 6% don't enjoy learning about other countries' culture. 18% somewhat uninterested, or it didn't matter as well, learning about other country cultures, but a large percent, okay, enjoys learning about cultures of other countries. So this suggests that what most gamers are genuinely interested in exploring cultures of other countries, all right, through games. So if you guys aiming for international, like having, yes, you have your answer here. Yeah. So based on the findings, here are the key takeaways. All right. So firstly, while local gamers, all right, they do enjoy seeing their own culture in games, they are actually far more interested in experiencing cultures of other countries. So it seems that local gamers are open. Yes, you know, most local gamers are actually open. All right. They are actually open to our own local culture, as long as it's well integrated into the game and not overused or overemphasized. So at this point, it needs a bit of balance. So at the end of the day, whatever said and done, all right, most gamers prioritize engaging gameplay, including inclusions of local culture. So it's important to also focus, all right, on strong gameplay first and foremost. Right. Now, here are some considerations if you actually plan to include local culture in games. Now, first thing first, local cultures shouldn't be included just for the sake of it or just for fun. It has to be thoughtfully and meaningfully integrated. Now, next, try to strike a right balance, all right, when you want to include them. It should enhance the experience, all right? It should not feel that it's feeling forced. And now gamers today, they can actually tell that whether you're shoving certain things on their face, all right, or not, all right? So you need to be very careful, all right? And cultural representation, okay, must be handled with care and sensitivity, so to avoid misinterpretation and, of course, not to offend anybody. Now, okay, so now that we see, okay, now that we see or know that gamers are interested in learning about other countries' culture, so maybe what you can do is you can present the cultural content in a way that appeals both local and also international audiences. And above all, as I'm going to say again, main focus should always remain on delivering an engaging and enjoyable gameplay. All right. Okay, so in academic settings, it's kind of common to actually end with suggestions for future research. Now, one of my hopes is that this research can go beyond just academic. I also generally want to support the industry. So I strongly believe that research shouldn't just stay within the academic chambers. It should also contribute to the real-world application and help address what the industry needs. So if there's anything academic researchers like us can help explore or study, okay, or to look into, please don't hesitate to let us know, all right? Okay, so here are the few thoughts that could be explored moving forward, all right? So one of the things actually to do is to refine the questionnaire with more open-ended questions, all right? So to get a much more richer insights. Number two, to get more international gamers. Now, while my survey, I have about 10% actually that partook international because it's open, but I got mostly Malaysian. So I'm curious to see what are internationals respondent if I get more of them, right? Okay, so I also want to see how do other countries view their own local culture besides just ours, so local and foreign both. And of course, maybe study games, okay? I want to actually examine games with cultural elements, all right? For both local and also for global to see how the culture is used, how it's implemented, okay? What is the game developers intended and also how the players react to it, yeah? And yes, is it half an hour? Okay, so thank you so much, all right? That's all for my presentation. Of course, if you are, for some of you in the academic who are interested, to know about what my scholarly work, papers and so on, you can scan there. And yes, that's that. Thank you so much.
Hi, Ying.
Hello.
Hello. Hi again. Hi,
Hello.
it's me. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm the only one asking a lot of questions.
No worries, no worries, no worries.
Probably because I'm not in the industry again. Congratulations on this amazing work. I love the data that you have. I understand the qualitative and the quantitative analysis. The transcription must have took forever. I'm curious to know, thank you for sharing your future directions as well, right? I'm curious to know, is there any, because these are all very vital information. Do you have plans about platforming this with shareholders or key stakeholders who can invest in games, like asking governments to can you fund locally cultural games? Yes, please give us money, that kind of stuff. Are you all planning to have an audience with those key shareholders? Or where's this data going? Because they're amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Well, actually, this year now that I've achieved it last year, so this is actually a break for me, but definitely something that me and my colleagues, we actually do something, think about grants later on, see where we can move forward. Of course, at the end of the day for us is make sure the topic has to be relevant with us. Because one thing I realized when doing research, you got to have that interest. If giving us something, that topic, we totally away from it, no interest, then I feel no matter how much you offer or how we collaborate, it doesn't come into fruition. That's what I believe. But yes, it's a lot of things to consider in the future, but it is something that even our university, we are also slowly moving forward to the research side. So yes. So eventually, once more and more of us, not just my uni, across all academics institutions will start coming out with this. So then we have a bit more demands, can we have more collaboration lah. And of course, government, we always wish they will come and support on this side of it lah. So yes, yes.
Do you have any, in your opinion, what is a good example of a game that integrate cultures, either personally or objectively? Not just from Southeast Asia, but maybe other cultures that works that can be used as an example for Malaysia.
Okay.
Or Southeast Asia, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure whether have you played the game 7 p.m.? Is by Cellarboard Games. I'm not too sure whether it's in Steam because recently their new game is Third Eye. So I think that game is, when I first played it, because it's all about the Chinese Ghost Festival. So I like the way they did it, the style and so on, because basically they use all paper craft and so on. And then also, when you wrap things, what surprised me is everything is about folding papers. They use paper. So those, for me personally, is really good Southeast Asia representative because it's just unique. I think when playing all these Southeast Asia games, I always look for something that is unique. That when you look at it, this is so Malaysia, or this is so Indonesia, Philippines, you can see it, something like that. And another one will be, of course, it's not so Southeast Asia, it's Venba, which I originally just played. Venba is Indian, that's not you sure, it's an Indian game made by Indian Canadians. Right? So their whole game is very short. I think it's about half an hour and so on. It's really short. And it's just about, about food, Indian food, how to make Indian food. And of course, living in the Indian family, what it's like there, and especially when you immigration in another country. So what it's like. So those are really good. So the more games that you play, that's now the list that I put, the more you play that, all right? Because some of them it's not, say, very obvious, but it's there. So yeah. So you just, once you playing mode, you start to feel. The most important thing here is one look at it. One look, and even the first 10 minutes when you play, oh God, you know, okay, this is Southeast Asia. That is how I gauge. Yeah.
Hi, Miss.
Hello.
I have a question. Japanese culture is quite popular in games as well as pop culture. So why do you think we're more open to Japanese culture specifically, more open to it than our own culture, especially since there's a lot of already Japanese culture in the market? It's very saturated.
Okay, as you know, as the chart has mentioned or as shown, we are all interested in other cultures more than our own. I guess, again, something to do with relatability, because our cultures, as one said, I already know this, I want something new, all right? But as Japanese, we have to actually go. You know, it's something different. Even, okay, I am also personally, I am crazy of Japanese culture. Sometimes way on my own, you know. But the thing here is because it's different. I don't get to see much here, but when I go there, it's like, oh my God, they came to do this. Oh my God, you know, it gives you that something, a surprise. Whereas Malaysia, because we live with it, it's always because we see it every day. So, you know, like, oh, okay, nasi lemak, oh, you know, okay, cool, that's it. But that's the thing. So so in a way also, I will say that the results here is correct also, that more people are actually interested. So what's the good point for us here is, if you create a game of your own culture, sure, we may not have locals be interested, but one thing you know for sure, internationals will definitely be interested. If I'm not mistaken, unfortunately, I'm unable to go for Mr. Hasmir's talk last year because of our convocation, but he did say that other countries like NSR. They like No Straight Through. Apparently, they got more international fans than it is local. So in some ways, also, it kind of proves that people actually want to learn more from outside because it's something new and fresh rather than our own, you know. Yeah, so that is something like, hopefully, I do hope that it changes, you know. We know there are locally made games, but why are we not playing that? So something that even future research, I actually do want to tackle that, actually. I want to find out more, having more open-ended questions on this. So, yeah.
My test.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Gordinson, and I am glad to be invited to this this event. I'm sorry that I'm late, so late that I only see one panel here.
No worries, no worries.
All right. Let's say I'm currently interested in joining the video game industry as I wish I had done more to in this industry, like learning Unreal Engine, Unity, and this kind of stuff. But that hurts when I was younger. But I'm not getting any younger, so I'm interested in becoming a game director to make a game that to make the Malaysian culture, Southeast Asian culture better known throughout the world. I want to make that kind of game. So, do you have any advice for me and any other aspiring game directors here in Malaysia?
Okay, so, all right, so I'm not too sure what actually a role of the director is, but I think, like I said, most important, even with my students, to start off is, what is your interest first? What is your, you think about what is your interest first and foremost. So from there, you build from it. Like I said, when you come up with, even you want to talk about local culture games, you cannot just put in for the sake of it. You know, like I said, gamers are not dumb. When you simply just put for the sake of it, they feel like, why is it there? They're going to start questioning. So you have to make sure it's integrated meaningfully. You means you really want to talk about this particular culture. rather than just throwing it for fun. So from there, you build. So start with interests. What do you want your game to introduce to the world? What you want to introduce to the world? What kind of culture you want to introduce? But you got to have to make sure the passion on it. Yeah. Then from there you build. Then you build from your games and so on and so forth from there. But you must make sure your vision is clear. That is very important. So I hope I'm able to start. Sorry I can't answer more, but this is maybe something for you to start off. Yeah.